Good morning. Happy Sabbath to you. Well, I see those of you that braved the first day of spring and the snow made it here. You finally got shoveled out and ready to go. Wasn't that a surprise? One of those rude awakenings there, huh? Anyway, welcome again to Willowbrook Church. For our members, welcome, welcome. For our visitors, welcome, welcome. And if you'd like to join us, do you remember I always tell you about that card that's in the pew right in front of you that is for both visitors and members? Please fill that out if you have any prayer requests. Anything we can do as a church for you, please fill that out, put it in the offering plate, and we'll get back with you during the week. Again, Willowbrook is a warm, friendly place, is it not? And evidently this morning it wasn't a warm and friendly place. When our AV guys came in this morning, this sanctuary was 53 degrees. And there had been a little wire loose in the back, Marlon, is that right? And thank you to Eric Armour for jumping up and getting that fixed. And now what are we, another 13 degrees warmer? 66, hey, almost like being in Florida. So anyway, the sanctuary is warm or warming up. Thank you, Eric, for fixing that for us. So now, maybe to warm up a little bit more, how about hopping up and greeting somebody around you? Welcome them to Willowbrook today. If you see somebody you don't know, especially run to them and greet them and say hi. It's your turn. Go ahead.
Good morning. Welcome again to Willowbrook. We have a couple of announcements to make sure you see. There will be a church social on April 1. Since it's April Fool's Day, we will be having a silly supper where you can enjoy lots of laughs and a full meal, but out of order and in a unique and fun way. Contact Sydney Milam to make your reservations by this coming Monday, March 26th, so in like 2 days. So they will know how much food to prepare. I've been to one of these. It's been a long time, but it is pretty fun. It's our anniversary, so we'll decide. Would you like to help people to live longer, healthier lives? The Willowbrook Health Ministry team is in search of volunteers who would like to support the development of the following programs: Health Fair Expo, Breath Free to Stop Smoking, Breathe Free, excuse me, and Mental Health. If you're interested in joining a ministry aimed at making a difference, please contact Karen Wise. The Pathfinders are collecting lids this size or bigger for a project that they are doing, and they need them by Wednesday. So if you can contact the Milams or anyone else associated with Pathfinders and try to get them here by Wednesday, that would be greatly appreciated. Also, for those that have been members here for a long time, we've been told that Charlotte Prest passed away yesterday. Her husband was pastor here. I believe they left in 1983. She was my 5th grade school principal, so just a couple years ago. Next Sabbath also is communion, so we look forward to seeing you there. Have a happy Sabbath.
Good morning. Our opening song this morning is hymn number 529, Under His Wings. Will you join me standing, please?
Deep and tempest
You may be seated.
The next few minutes we will spend on focusing on our time of giving. Today's loose offering is for Chesapeake Advance. Deacons, please come forward. Giving to Chesapeake Advance helps for, or to provide for, disaster relief. It helps provide for evangelistic projects and meetings. It provides for our Mount Etna Camp and Retreat Center and other worthy causes throughout the conference, throughout the year. For giving and offering toward a designated project, like the local church budget or other projects, then use your tithe envelope and mark it accordingly. Let's pray. We thank you, Lord, for the means to serve with our offerings and our tithes, for sharing brings the utmost joy when lifting other lives. O Lord, we dedicate our all in this response to Thee. Help us to magnify this call in giving in deep humility. In Jesus' precious name is our prayer. Amen.
Good morning, happy Sabbath. As we prepare to go before the Lord in prayer, are there any prayer requests besides these? Pastor Bellotti, our brother Byron Steele, and our friends here from law enforcement and their brother officers, not only in Washington County, but throughout the United States here. It seems like there's a war against our law enforcement officers. And I would like to thank you for our whole congregation for the effort you do to keep us safe every day. Thank you so much. And if anyone has a special spoken request, I'll take it. If there's an unspoken request, you could uplifted hands, and the Lord knows exactly what's on your heart. And do we have a... Who? Penny Wheeler, yes. Yeah. A couple of us here volunteer with Penny, and we found out about the broken hip and the surgery she had while she was in Egypt, supposed to be on a tour having a good time, and something like that happens. So anyway, we want to remember Penny every day in our prayers. And for those of you who are physically able, I would invite you to kneel with me as we pray. Dear Father in heaven, as we come before thy throne today, we ask forgiveness of our sins and our shortcomings, and we pray that you'll look upon us with satisfaction as we invite the Holy Spirit to come to be with us throughout our entire service here and brighten up this place that we call the sanctuary, where Jesus meets us every Sabbath. We also would like to pray for Pastor Bellotti. Continue to heal him, Lord, and our brother Byron with the issues that he's having. Be close to Byron. Bless Penny, and bless our law enforcement officers also. Be with each and every one, Lord, those who are on duty right now throughout the United States here, and watch over them and bless them and bless their families also. And we pray that you'll bless all the unspoken requests. You know the burdens upon our hearts as we present our special request to you. We ask that you answer this according to thy will. And we all know that we would all like to have our prayers answered immediately, but your time is not our time, and we know that you will answer our prayers, and sometime the answer is not right now, but it'll take a little while. And give us that patience and through the gift of the Holy Spirit, so that we may be able to wait upon thee and not outrun you. Help us to walk hand in hand with Jesus, not only today, but every day. And be with each and every one of us throughout the remainder of this Sabbath day. Bless all those who are worshiping and coming closer to Jesus minute by minute. We thank you for hearing and answering this prayer request, because we do pray and ask all of these blessings in the wonderful name of Jesus Christ, our Savior, giving you, Father, all the glory and honor through Christ our Lord. And once again, we thank you for the gift of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Well, good morning again. You know, it's good to see you out today, because we have such a blessing to be among one another when we're here on Sabbath, do we not? And what I wanted to remind us of in a short devotional before we have our presentation this morning is how much our world has changed. You know, less than 10 years ago, I wouldn't have thought twice about coming into church. A safe place, a refuge from the outside, a place that we could come and commune together without fear. But our world has changed. And so before we have our presentation, I just thought I'd share a couple things here that brought us to this point. Some days in history that have happened before us. June 17, 2015, the Emmanuel AME Church in Charleston, South Carolina. It was a Wednesday night prayer meeting. The group had gathered there, and a young white man joined them in the back of the sanctuary. According to the videotape, it shows that he actually interacted with the pastor and with the members and made a statement that he wanted to know God. He stayed in that presentation for about an hour before he stood with his pistol and started shooting. Unfortunately, that day he shot 12. He killed 9. Then he escaped and was later apprehended. Another exposure, Sunday, November 5, just this last year, 2017. First Baptist Church in Sutherland Springs, Texas. Same thing, gathered for a Sunday morning service. An individual by the name of Devin Kelly filled his vehicle up at a gas station across the street, made his way into the church parking lot and parked. According to the account given, he then pulled out his rifle and started spraying the outside of the church, and then he entered into the church. We started doing more of the same. These people came for worship. They came to a safe place, a refuge, and all of a sudden, things changed. Things started happening where parents started leaping on their children. Unfortunately, he was systematic about what he was doing, and he went through the congregation shooting and executing. That day, he shot 46, 26 who passed away. Ages range from 72 years old to 18 months. Tragedy, is it not? But in that circumstance, things changed a little bit because a neighbor across the street heard what was going on, grabbed his rifle, and made pursuit with this individual. Challenged that individual with rifle fire, and the man escaped. Long story short there, evidently there was a pursuit. There was an accident that happened. Maybe he was shot, but when the officers came upon the scene, he'd actually executed himself. What drives us to do this? What drives these individuals to be compelled to take lives of other people? We really don't know, other than we live in an evil world. We have people that have problems, and as they looked here into this gentleman's background, this Delvin Kelly, he had mental illness. He'd been discharged from the military, court-martialed actually. He'd had a record of violence, and he was able to buy a gun. We're not here to debate that today. But what we are here to do is talk about what we can do at this Willowbrook Church to prepare ourselves for the what if. You know, my mind wandered just a little bit, and I had to be thinking about David. You know, when the Israelites were being pursued along the way, and King Saul was in battle, and then David was in battle, and then Saul battled David. The one last thing that David remembered was a text that I'd like to share before I invite our officers to come up. It was from the 22nd chapter of 2 Samuel, and David spoke these words. And he said, "The Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer, my God, my rock in whom I take refuge, my shield and the horn of my salvation, my stronghold and my refuge. My Savior, thou dost save me from violence. I call upon the Lord who is worthy to be praised, and I am saved from my enemies." That's what we all look forward to, safety, a presence, a feeling of comfort, and a comfort of togetherness. But we need to be vigilant, and we need to be aware that things can happen to us, and we need to be prepared, even though we need to continue our trust in the Lord and daily surrender our lives to Him, that whatever happens, it's going to be okay. So today, being Safety Sabbath, declared by the North American Division, Adventist Risk Management, the Chesapeake Conference, they've asked our churches to be a little bit more aware of their surroundings and what goes on. And when Tom Wooten and I, Tom is our safety officer here in the church, When we talked about this briefly and then we took it to the church board, we had an idea that we should do something that would reflect our needs and prepare us for the possibilities, like these cases that happened in South Carolina and Texas. So a call went out to our Washington County Sheriff's Office, and I must say their response was fantastic. It probably wasn't 15 minutes after I left that message for Jason Willison, Officer Jason Willison. He called me back and offered to come here on a Saturday and make a presentation. Then I found that Officer Troy Lipinski was going to join him. This is a presentation that they make in our school system and other churches. So would you welcome them, please, with me to our church today and listen attentively to what they're going to tell us and prepare us for the what if. Thank you, gentlemen. We welcome you here today.
Well, good morning. Thank you for having us.
Good morning.
Thank you for the introduction. As Steve said, I'm Deputy Willison with the Washington County Sheriff's Department. I have been at the Sheriff's Department since 2004, so 14 years or so. I spent some time with Baltimore County Police before I transferred up here to the Sheriff's Department. And the last 5 years or so of my duty assignment has been as a school resource officer. So I have the Clear Spring and Hancock school districts. So, Troy?
Deputy Lipinski, I've been with the Sheriff's Office for 11 years. My first 5 years was spent on the road, and the last 6, I too am a school resource officer. I started out in the Williamsport area and have since moved down to the Boonesboro area schools as their school resource officer. What we're going to talk about today is options. Okay, in a nutshell, it's options. Jason and I have done this presentation across Washington County, across Maryland. We've crossed into PA. Businesses, churches, the state conference in Ocean City for the Board of Ed. We've done this so much, we do have a sense of humor, even though we're law enforcement.
Bear with us.
Yeah, thanks for getting that. Honestly, it's our way of getting through. Not many people like to talk about this subject, okay? So the best way to keep your attention is to laugh a little bit, maybe make some jokes. If not, you would cry, okay?
Yeah, it's not a pleasant topic that we have to present, but it is important that we get this information out. And when Steve contacted me a couple weeks ago, you know, it was no surprise because we are getting contacted weekly and our calendars fill up with this presentation. So like we said, we're going to get into this and we're going to try to get you out. What time is it now? 11:36. Try to get you out by like 3 so you can start there. Okay?
They got that.
They got it. So, all right, to get into this, we are both certified ALICE instructors. That is a national known program. It's similar to like the government's Run, Hide, Fight. I'm sure people have heard of that. This is our own program. We've been doing this about 5 years now in the schools, and we've kind of taken pieces of all the programs that work the best that we feel, and we've come up with our own presentation. So this is what our county has adopted, our threat readiness training. So without further ado, we're going to get into it here.
If our clicker works.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
this is a fun little, you know, just a way to start the presentation. Can you hear me?
Unfortunately.
This is a little opener I saw and put it on here. The last school I did was the outdoor school up in Clear Spring. And I had seen this and put it there. Just thought it was kind of funny. Just kind of lightens the mood a little bit. Not technically part of the presentation. Everyone get a chance to read that? Read it to us? I don't know if it would work if I read it to you. If anyone wants to see it after the presentation, come on up. You skipped number 5.
Moving on.
Moving on. Okay, so basically this presentation, what we're doing is we're trying to empower you guys to help prepare for a violent event by identifying what Troy already said is options. You're gonna hear us talk a lot about options, okay? We can't be here with you during this event if it were to ever happen. So what you need to have is some tools in your toolbox, some options, so that we don't see what happened in Sutherland and all these other events where people did not have this information.
Objectives: understand the importance of threat readiness training, understand what we're telling you, we're giving you options. You will never, never, never hear us say to get under a table, under a desk, under a chair. That will never come out of our mouths. Identify and understand the elements of a successful plan of action, and understand the need to reassess your options during a lockdown. Have you ever practiced a lockdown?
In school,
In
right?
school, right?
Right? Okay. That may be a good thing to practice in church. At my church, we've given this presentation and we have identified our lockdown areas for our children's church, our sanctuary, all that stuff. So, we come up with this plan after this presentation and we practice it. We're going to look at using real-time information, and that can be, we'll explain that. We're going to talk about getting real-time information and how to use that. We're going to talk about the OODA loop. Anyone ever heard of the OODA loop?
Prior military?
Law enforcement. Now, we have a Border Patrol agent here. You're not allowed to answer most of our questions, okay?
No cheating.
We always ask if there's prior military or law enforcement because they always have our answers and they ruin it for us. All right? We had one, but
He did not tell us. He did not tell us.
He didn't tell us. So when we were asking the questions that we're going to ask you guys, because this is going to be a little bit interactive, he's like answering every one of our questions, and we're like, how does this guy know all this stuff? Well, he come up afterwards, and he's like shaking our hand. He's like, I'm retired Hagerstown Police Department. I'm like, okay, all right. Now we're going to talk about committing to your actions and inundating with violence. This is a church. This is a place of God. We don't want to have to talk about these things in church, but we have to, okay? So,
keep in mind, this is not solely for your church. You need to take this with you outside of church.
Absolutely.
At the mall, at Walmart, at home.
Absolutely. So we're going to go over a little bit of a survival mindset. It's kind of what we're taught in the academy and what we carry with us daily on duty. I will survive, all right? We're going to talk a little bit about that.
We're not trying to make you as paranoid as we are. Law enforcement is very paranoid.
A little bit.
Just a little bit. Constantly looking over our shoulders. When we go to eat with our families, we have to have a specific seat. We have to be able to see everything, the exits. We're not trying to make you that. Maybe just a little.
A little bit.
A little bit.
Like sitting in the front row down here, oof, I don't like that. No fault of yours.
Close to an exit.
But we are close to exits. We're going to talk about that too. So we're going to look at your surroundings, your condition, and your situation. Let's look at situational awareness here first. All right. What is your immediate surroundings? Where is your nearest exit? How about when you go to a movie theater? Where do you sit at? You kind of just sit in the middle and so you can get the best view of the picture? I know I don't. I look at where the exits are because if I got to get out of there right now, I want to be able to say, kids, wife, chuck them out the door, right? What is your quickest path to that exit? Are there hazards in between you and the exit? Oh, look at that. Hazards in between you and the exit. So just being aware of your surroundings, taking the blinder off, being cognizant. I mean, we've all had that drive to work, right? Where we put the blinders on and put the car on autopilot, right? And then we're magically at work. That's happened to all of us. Heck, that's happened to me, And I take it to the next level. I drive different routes to work every day. I got certain schools I go to, but I never take the same path there every day. I don't want no one to know my schedule, right? If someone was going to set up an ambush, if I took the same route to the same school every day at the same time, it'd be real easy. Just a little bit of things that we think about. Not to say you have to do that, but just being aware of your surroundings.
Are you able to use stairs for your escape? Do you have stairs here? If you don't, great. But wherever you are in your travels, think about that. Where are the stairs? What are your abilities and disabilities? What about the people that are around you? Are there are there disabilities, broken ankles, broken hips, broken knees, whatever? They may need a little helping hand. How do you react under extreme stress? We've already asked prior military, you're not allowed to get involved in this. Would you consider putting a key in a door lock extremely stressful? Probably not, right? However, if we're out here close to the vestibule, you see someone in the parking lot with a long gun coming towards the door, you pull that key out to lock a door. Would it become very stressful then?
We've done practices with our schools for lockdowns, and for some reason, the County Board of Education, when they put doors in all of our schools, they made it so that the doors lock, but you have to put a key in it on the outside.
In the hallway?
In the hallway, where a prospective killer could be. And we've done trainings with our teachers where we're in with our SWAT team and we're firing blanks and simulating gunfire. And
no students.
No students. But teachers can't do it, okay? You can't do it. It's, fine motor skills. What are the 3 things you're going to do when faced with extremely stressful situations? There are 3 F's. Did I hear fight, flight, or?
That's the 4th one.
That's the 4th one. You're skipping ahead. That's the 4th one. Fight, flight, or freeze. If you've never experienced extreme stress, you probably don't really know what you're going to do. That's why they put us under stress in training, so that we know what we're going to do. Now, you skipped ahead. We always ask this question because it's funny for us to hear people's answers. Freak out was one.
That is number 1.
What was the other one? The 5th F. Faint.
Yes.
So apparently there's 5 F's. But talking about that key in a lock, combat stress, okay? The sympathetic nervous system. Take a moment to read this, but I'm going to just tell you the basic point of this is when you're under stress, you're going to lose your fine motor skills. You're going to gain gross motor skills. What are gross motor skills? Things like running, kicking, punching, but stuff like putting a key in a lock, probably not going to work. When we train for defensive tactics, they don't teach us all these like 23 move Jackie Chan takedown stuff, okay? Where you gotta oh, your arm's not in the right place, bad guy, put it over here so I can do all this stuff. It's basics, okay? Punches, kicks, basic stuff because of this, because of gross motor skills being enhanced in stressful situations.
Is there a threat? What is occurring around you? Please don't get caught up in a shooter, okay? Take that term and get it out of your head. So many of these catastrophes that have happened don't involve a shot. It could be a knife, it could be a ball bat, it could be a machete. It could be anything that doesn't make a noise. So don't get caught up in the whole shooter thing. What is occurring around you? Is there a safety concern to you or your family or your friends? And what is the threat to me? Is the threat near you, close to you? Do you have an exit strategy?
If there is a situation going on here, your response back where the children's area is going to be different, correct? That's what this is all about. If there's something going on back there, your response in here is going to be different. So taking all these things, your known facts, it's what you know, whether you're getting real-time information or you're seeing it, however you're getting this information is your known facts, and then the options that we're going to start to talk about, that's going to be your plan of action, okay? That's going to determine what you do, what you know, and the options we talk about. So why do we do this? Well, this is a, fairly modern building that I'm sure meets fire code. So, we do this in schools. We practice fire drills 10 times a year. You guys ever practice fire drills here in church? Not a bad thing to do, right? Not a bad thing to do at all. But in schools, we're beat down with fire drills, and there's all these codes and everything. When was the last time lives were lost in a school fire? Any guesses?
Older than me. That's a hint.
Wow.
Stop.
Like 1800s? 69. 1958. Close. Close.
She's
You're
good.
just trying to be nice to him.
I was born in 69, thank you.
1958 is the last time lives were lost in a school fire. Now, I don't think I need to ask this next question. When was the last time someone was killed or wounded in an active killer incident? What's that? Last Tuesday, right? These are the latest, well, these aren't the latest four. The one last Tuesday in St. Mary's County needs to be on the list. Now, the sad thing is I have to update this list about weekly, okay? These are the last four without the St. Mary's County one. But they're all this year. So we need to be training on this kind of stuff right here, right?
As much as we do fire drills.
Not taking away the fire drills, but we need to be doing this as well.
That very first bullet point, take that in. It's an amazing statistic. Most violent intruder situations last between 3 and 7 minutes, and they're over. They're done. What that means is from the time you see them, they approach you, your building, whatever, till it's over. Till one, they either can't find anyone else to execute, 2, they've taken themselves out, or 3, they've removed themselves from the situation, or 4, you've subdued them, beat them to a pulp, and are sitting on top of them.
What does that mean?
Most violent, research has shown that civilians have stopped active killer events prior to police intervention. This is something we like to ask the audience is, what do you think the ratio is civilians versus law enforcement? You guys stopping the threat and us stopping the threat. What do you think? 1,000 to 1? You guys will be amazed that the percentage is 49 to 51%.
Okay, so that 3 to 7 minutes, okay, take a look at police response time. You're in a decent area here, okay? You're not like completely out in the boonies. You know, we have dual highway where lots of cops. You're gonna get lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of police response. But it's going to take a little bit. We're not gonna be here immediately. So in that 3 to 7 minutes, and the FBI has actually said here recently it's about 3 to 5 minutes, that what you're doing in that time is gonna determine the outcome, because it's probably gonna take us 3 minutes to get here, maybe longer, could be 5 minutes. There could be someone rolling down Mapleville Road, and we could be here in 10 seconds, but you don't know. So the average response time nationwide, I believe, is around 3 to 5 minutes. You know, we're gonna be rocking, but what you're doing in those 3 minutes is going to determine the outcome. Taking that on-site resolution, breaking that down a little bit more, the attacker stopping themselves is 67% of the time. 60% is suicide. It's a high rate. Why? Because most of them, you know, the nutbags, they feel like they're martyrs. You know, they want to go in, kill as many people as they want or can, and they feel like, you know, they're not going to go to jail. They're not going to, you know, get caught. They want to, you know, they don't want to go to jail. They don't want to do anything. They just want to kill as many people as they can and then take themselves out. Left the scene, 7%. We just saw that down in Florida with the latest shooting down there. He left the scene. And then victim stopping the attacker, 33% of that time. That's you guys doing what you have to do to subdue the attacker. Now, you like to add a little onto that, right? Because we always get this question.
You would probably ask yourself, am I going to get in trouble if 15 of you are on top of said bad guy when we arrive and he can't breathe or she can't breathe? Okay. There is a statistic out there that says no one has ever been convicted of defending themselves in an active threat situation. No one has ever been convicted of. Okay, so
just keep that in mind.
The answer is no. How will you know if something's wrong? What would be a clue if we're in this setting right now? How would you know that something's wrong? Hear screaming?
You could hear an announcement. I mean, you think it's going to be immediately apparent, but sometimes it's not always. If someone come in the sanctuary here and started opening fire, it's going to be immediately apparent, right? But otherwise, you might not know exactly what's going on immediately.
You have these beautiful windows here. Not that we are that attractive and you want to just stare at us while we're up here. Some of you may wander and look out the windows, right? You see a bad guy out there, somebody toting a shotgun, a ball bat, a machete, okay? It's not bring your machete to church day, right? So that's a clue.
You stole my joke. You could hear weapon discharge. We put this in here because at the Sandy Hook shooting, they didn't immediately recognize that sound of gunfire in the building. Gunfire takes on a whole different sound inside a building. They thought it was, we've heard everything from, construction from the custodians to a book falling. I can tell you it does sound different indoors. We were doing a training up at Hancock Elementary a couple weeks ago, and I was actually playing the bad guy. It was for our SWAT team, and they were coming to get me. I had hostages taken in classrooms and IEDs set up and all kinds of stuff to trip our SWAT team up. Again, no kids after hours. But I was shooting off a 9mm blank gun, and because of the partitions in the school, it was absorbing the sound, and you couldn't hear it. It's an open school. You couldn't hear it on the other side of the school. So just keep that in mind. You're not always going to immediately recognize, yes, this is a gunshot, this is something like that.
But what is the harm in calling 911?
Right.
There's no harm.
We put text or emergency notifications. A lot of schools have, like a chain text, with all their teachers where they can send something out real quick. Not a bad thing to do for, members of the church, elders, stuff like that. So what Troy was saying, if you do see something and you see the person toting a machete or a baseball bat in the front door, we don't have to go and let the supervisor make the first call, okay? So if you see something like this, you don't have to go to Steve or the pastor or another elder and say, hey, Steve, there's a guy, he just walked up through here and he's looking in some windows and he's carrying a machete. Should we call 911? Just call 911, right? I'll tell you a quick story. I was at one of my schools, and I'm not going to say which one because I have 7 different schools. But on this particular campus, a middle school teacher was looking out her window of her classroom and saw a guy pulling on doors at the high school. He was wearing a hoodie, and he looked like he was trying to gain entry to the high school. Would that not be a clue? Would that not make most of you say, we need to probably do something? So I'm not throwing this teacher under the bus. It was a learning experience for her. But she called the secretary of her school and said, hey, do you know anything about this guy pulling on doors at the high school? The secretary's like, no, I don't know anything about it. Let me call the secretary at the high school and see if she knows anything about it. So she calls. Of course, our secretary at the high school says, no, I don't know anything about this. Let me find the principal and see if he knows anything about this. It's gone through like 4 people now. Well, the principal says, has anyone decided to call Deputy Willison on the radio and see if he can go check this?
He's in the building.
I'm in the building, okay? So yeah, I immediately went out, found that it was just our custodian doing door checks like he should have been doing, but he had his hood up because it was cold, all right? No harm, no foul. But what would have been wrong with that middle school teacher picking up her cell phone, calling 911, alerting us to the fact that it looked like someone was trying to get in the building? He'd have got to drive fast, and I'd have went out and found it was our custodian. No harm, no foul. If you see something, call 911, get the ball rolling. Did you have a question?
Yeah, maybe you can dispense with this, but I think there is a certain sense that if you call 911 and nothing's wrong, you're going to be scolded. I think there's a certain perception that could happen. Is that not true?
I'll answer that 2 ways, if you don't mind. You're not going to be scolded. And 2, what if you're right and something is wrong? who wants to have that burden on them. There is no harm whatsoever in calling 911, even if it turns out to be somebody walking in with a microphone for a drama class. What is the harm?
We're not going to care. If we get good intent calls all the time.
And we
that
get to
end up
drive
being
fast.
nothing. It's just part of what we do.
And
You
in
would-
Jason's, and in Jason's story that he told, which is a true story,
It's a very true story.
4 phone calls between 2 different schools, how much of that 3 to 7 minutes has transpired? Pretty much all of it.
You would be amazed the type of calls we get sent on, okay? So we're not going to be surprised by anything, okay? Just keep that in mind. We get sent on crazy calls all the time. And if we got called to a church and we just found it was the drama club, no big deal, right? No big deal. And you don't always have to take time to investigate. I'm sure there's someone in here that's going to try to go tackle that guy with the machete, right? Probably, all right?
We know one at least.
We know one at least. We're going to talk about when that's appropriate. Relay and receive information. We've talked to Steve, and we understand that there's no intercom, so to speak. We have the mics, and the speakers in here. No video cameras, which it's a church. Typically, you don't find that in churches, but that is something that we have seen a trend lately of, putting video surveillance systems and intercoms in churches. The reason we talk about this is what we train our schools to do, okay? We train our schools, if there was an active killer event in the school, an administrator is supposed to sequester themselves in the command center of the school, get on the video camera, and start talking and getting that information out to everyone in the school, all right? You like to...
Jason, why would they be doing that?
Why would they be doing that? Well, it gets into the mind of the bad guy, right? It not only helps you, if you're in this church and you're getting information and someone's saying there's a, bad guy with blue jeans and a red shirt in the sanctuary, and you're in the children's center, that's going to be helpful information to you, right? It also works against the bad guy. We have both played bad guys in all these drills that we do. And when we have an administrator or someone on camera giving out our every move to the school that we're in, it's really frustrating. It's really frustrating as the bad guy.
You want to speak clearly. Do away with codes. At the sheriff's office, everyone's aware we used to have 10 codes. We've done away with 10 codes in law enforcement. Our new cadets that are in the academies are not even taught 10 codes. You call it like you see it, okay? If Jason's the bad guy, green BDU pants, black short sleeve shirt, 6'3", 220-ish. Dark hair. Call it like you see it. No Elvis is in the building. Sorry. We were told...
What do you bench?
Anyway. We were told a code before in a separate church that we've done. I know you like to talk about this.
I do. For some reason, these code words got in people's head. Like, you got to have a code word for an active shooter and active killer. And this is just for future use. If you guys do decide to install cameras and all this good stuff, and you are utilizing the stuff like this, don't have codes. We had a church that we taught, and they said that their code for an active shooter was Noah's Ark. Now, if I'm in a church, that might not be a phrase that I may expect to hear that in a church, right? Just saying. So, no codes. We immediately changed that. Schools, 15 years ago, they used to always say, Elvis is in the building, stuff like that for code words. And if you're a substitute coming in our school for the day, you've never been in there before, and you hear Elvis is in the building, you're like, oh, yeah, Elvis is in the building, right?
I knew he was alive.
Huh?
I knew he was alive.
Sure. So, no codes. We call it like we see it. It not only helps you guys and gets the information to you that you need, but it gets into the mind of the bad guy, all right? So no codes. So finally, they're like, man, they've been talking for like 3 hours and they haven't even told us an option yet.
And we're just now starting.
So I told you we'd get you out here by 3. What are your options? If there was an active killer, here's your options. Lockdown and barricade, fight, and escape. That's it. Right? Nowhere under there does it say crawl under the pews, crawl under a table, go into the corner and huddle up. But we had a lady, we did this entire presentation, and we were in like a big open area with like tables, like a cafeteria type setting. And she's like, so you're telling me if a killer come in here, I should go under the table? I was like, oh.
This was after our presentation
Like-
was over.
Were you here during the presentation? No. These are your options, okay? This is it. This is what's going to save your life. Let's talk about lockdown and barricade.
Attempt to find cover and concealment. Which is best? This is where you guys get interactive. Cover or concealment?
Why?
Which is the difference?
Right.
We can take big fella here, right? Put him behind a screen and he's concealed. I can still shoot him. I can still injure him behind that screen, right? Cover would be more like these huge beams, steel beams that hold your building up, block wall, brick wall, things of that nature. Hiding's great if you don't have cover. Obviously, that's your only other option. But if you have cover, cover's the best.
So, with that in mind, how about these doors? Cover or concealment? Concealment. Unless doors are specifically made to stop rounds, you know, steel, concrete reinforced doors, most bullets are going to zip through doors, okay?
Wood or steel.
Right. Walls typically are 2x4s and 1/2-inch drywall. Bullets go through them like butter. How about your car door? Concealment, right? We have a car at our range that we shoot at, and you know, bullets will zip through one door and go out the other door. Okay? The only place on a car that we consider cover. What was, I didn't hear that.
They don't in movies.
No, they don't. The only place on a car that we consider cover is the engine block, the wheel and brake rotor, and the pillars that hold the roof up. And that's just very little cover, but it's better than nothing. All right, that's why when you see cops, when they have someone pulled over, they don't pull straight behind them, they kind of turn like that, and then they turn their wheels. That way, if you know someone gets out and starts shooting at us, we can duck down behind our engine block and our wheels. So just keep that in mind, and a little piece of information for you. What's that? Right, concealment is just hiding. Yeah, that doesn't mean like I'm concealing a weapon. Two different things. Barricade, we're going to talk about that a little bit more here in a second. If you are locked down and barricaded, remain quiet, restrict movement, turn the lights off. One thing I noticed in the children's church area, you have locks on all of your doors that do lock from the inside, which is very good. But we need window coverings on those doors. Because if I'm bad guy and you're locked down in your room and I look in and say, oh, there's people in there, I'll shoot through the door, shoot through the window, reach in, unlock it, or just shoot through the window and start spraying in the classroom. If there's window coverings and everyone's locked down and quiet and the lights are off, what am I typically going to do? What have we done? What have we seen?
Move on.
We're going to move on because we're trying to find people that we can get to. That's what we've both done.
We know the clock is ticking.
Right. And I'm only doing this one because I know you like to do the next one. And develop a plan based on any known information. If you are locked down and you are getting information that bad guy's in a different area of the church, he's not where I'm at, it might be a good time to think about escaping if you have that option available in your room. Sandy Hook shooting, first grade class, they were doing this. They were giving that real-time information out. And a first grader in his class, his teacher was Froze, locked up, vapor locked. First grader said, hey, bad guy's not anywhere near us. We're getting out of here. So he initiated his class in busting a window out, and they got out and escaped. And all of them survived. So if you have the information, use it. Now let's talk about barricade. Go ahead.
All right. We've noticed walking through your building, different areas and different style hinges. Okay. How do you know which direction a door is going to open? Just by looking at it. You can see the hinges, right? This door here, in or out? It opens in. Okay. Does this just go directly outside? So this is just, okay, so these are pretty much segregated to here, right? Okay, let's just say, for argument's sake, this is where we are locked down, okay, because there is an intruder. So they're going to open inward, correct? How would you barricade that door?
Little man's got a good point here, okay?
You're exactly right.
You're exactly right. You know, it's easy for us to conceptualize how to barricade a door that opens towards you, right? You can stack stuff against it. You can put furniture against it. You know, you can do all these things to keep it from opening. But it's harder to think about how to barricade a door that opens away from you, because you can't just stack stuff up against that door. If you do, bad guy could still open it. So we're going to talk to you and give you a few ways to barricade an outward opening door, but also an inward opening door. A cool trick that we learned a few years ago, we got the pleasure of hearing a survivor of the Virginia Tech shootings, Christina Anderson, speak. She was in the French class when bad guy come in. They had never been told what to do in the event of a killer. So what did they do? They all just got under their desks. And what did bad guy do?
Bad guy walked up and down the aisles, shooting every single one of them.
Went out of that class, went in and tried to get into another class, okay? So he's opening the door, and the doors don't lock. So he's trying to open the door, and it's kind of pushing open a little bit, and he's feeling resistance, kind of like someone's behind the door, holding it shut, which was the professor. So what does bad guy do? Shoots through the door, kills the professor.
Gained entry.
Gained entry to the class. Went to the next classroom, same thing. Tries to open the door, feels a little bit of resistance, thinks worked last time, shot through the door, didn't kill anyone in the room. Okay, how did they do this? How did they barricade this door? They did what's called a human chain. So one person laid on the ground with their feet against the door. And then they went feet to shoulder, feet to shoulder, feet to shoulder, and made a chain on the floor to the opposite wall, and the last person held against the wall. So that when bad guy shot through the door, he shot over top of them all. Does it work?
It does work. Jason and I both have been through pretty extensive training with this. I was actually in Baltimore with FBI, and you name it, we were all there training. And we were all tasked with the objective. They separated us into 5 groups in a school setting. And your objective was, they took 5, 6 of us in each group, put us in a classroom and said, your objective is do not lock the door, so it's unlocked. An FBI agent larger than him was tasked with gaining entry. If he gains entry, we're all dead, okay? I had already been trained in the human chain, so I told my group, let me take this. So I put them all in a human chain from the door to the wall. Doors unlocked. We were the only group out of 5 that he did not gain entry into that room. So it does work.
Does work. And if you only have a few people and you can't reach the opposite wall, think outside the box. Look at stuff that's in the room. Use that as a buffer between the wall to give you some extra room. Go ahead.
What they would do is they took furniture and put in front of the door. Keep in mind, that's just temporary. If you push hard enough on an unlocked door, they're going to gain entry. They're just going to move, the furniture that's in front. That's
Can
exactly
buy you
what
time.
happened. It'll buy you time to get out,
Right.
but
Chain look like you lay down, you sit up, and put your feet against the next person. How do you do this human chain? I was going to ask you guys to show me.
Why don't we have our 3 lovely assistants come up here and show you? All right, guys. This is the door, all right? You need to keep this door, here, step over here. That way everyone can see you, all right? Looking sharp. All right, so this is the door, right? And it opens inward like this. This is the room, okay? Troy, you're the back of the room.
okay.
All right? All right, so you're going to come up here and lay down on the ground and put your feet against the door. You're going to come up and lay down on the ground and put your feet against his shoulders. You're going to come up and put your feet against his shoulders. Yeah, can't do it standing up. All right, scooch up. All right, there you go.
Take your arms,
Now you're
put
going
them
to
back.
push against the wall that's
here.
behind you.
Okay, don't push me over.
All right? So, if I'm bad guy trying to get in here, I'm not getting in. Okay? I can't push that door open, and they're all laying on the ground. So, thanks, guys. Can we have a hand for our assistants?
I know what you were doing, though. You were trying to get us dirty by laying. I know what you're doing.
We always use audience volunteers. All right, so now let's talk about a door that opens away from you. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
All right, so doors that open away from you. Little harder to think about, but there are ways to barricade.
Pulling it inward so that when they try to pull out, you just keep it shut by pulling it in.
It's a good thought.
But you don't want to be in front of the door, right? We've already established not a good place.
Wall, so when they shoot through the door, it's like goes through the wall and you still hold it.
You're exactly right.
Layer there.
You're right.
That's something.
You're right. That is one. Another one is an object. Let's just say we're back here in this area and these doors do open outward, okay? If we find an object back here in this room that is larger than the door jamb, even an inch or two on each side, if it's larger than the door jamb, take a belt off, take a shirt off, a pants leg, whatever you can find, tie it to whatever that item is that's larger than the door jamb, and tie it to the door handle. You literally have to suck that item through the door jamb in order to get that door open. Or,
Does everyone see what he's talking about there? This, in this case, it's an extension cord they're using, but you could use anything. You wrap it around that object and they can't pull that door open unless they're going to suck that object through the door frame.
another way, and we noticed this when we were walking through, is specific door hinges that you have on top of the doors. They're those scissor hinges, okay? You take the same extension, well, there you go. You take the same extension cord, take a belt, whatever, tie off around that hinge. Very, very difficult to open that door.
As far back on it as possible, because if that can't open, the door can't open. They make commercially made models that, this is called the sleeve. You can put on there. They're a little pricey, you know, under stress, you know, if you don't have anything like that, a belt, pants, shirt, something wrapped around there would work well. So if you are going to use your idea and hold the door shut from this side, wrap something around the doorknob and hold it from around the door, okay? Like step around. It'd be hard to do that one because of the way it opens. You can't really stand out of the line of fire there, but, you know, when you think about a lot of doors, you can kind of stand off to the side and hold it. Okay.
One other thing we want to talk about when you are in a barricade and a lockdown situation is Once you feel you have reached that point where your room is secured as you can make it, then you are preparing, okay, should someone gain entry. So whatever objects you have left over in there, if it is not screwed down, nailed down, bolted down, you can lift it, it's a weapon.
Don't get ahead of yourself.
Without using kids.
So, a shelter bucket. Something that we kind of come up with and put in here because if you are locked down and it is a real situation, you're going to be locked down for a long time, right? You guys that practice lockdowns at school, if it's a real situation and you hear an announcement that says, everything's good now, you can come out, we got the bad guy, are you going to come out? No. What if you hear me knock on the door and say, hey, it's Deputy Willison, come on out, we're good, right? No.
What if we slide our card under the door?
Yeah. No. The only way you're coming out of there is when we come in and get you. All right?
We have special door openers.
Yeah. Halligan bars and sledgehammers.
Uh-huh.
In the trunks of our cruisers. Seriously, we're going to come get you. We're going to find a key or we're going to force entry and come get you. Okay? That's as simple as that. Do not come out, no matter what you hear. Because I could be a bad guy, take the pastor hostage, have a gun to his head, go up and say, tell him to come out. Tell him to go on the intercom and come out. What did the bad guy do in Parkland? Not a new concept, but what'd he do? He pulled a fire alarm. He didn't invent that. They were doing this back in 1998 in Jonesboro, Arkansas, okay? Pulled the fire alarm to bait people out because he couldn't find anyone else to shoot, so he pulled the fire alarm. So if you're in lockdown and you hear the fire alarm go off, unless you're threatened by fire, you're not going anywhere, okay? We did have a church one time, we had a guy ask, well, you're telling us, and I don't want to get ahead of myself, but he's like, how am I going to know it's the police that are coming in? I'm like, you're going to know. You're going to know. Mainly because we're not going to come in shooting you. We're coming in to rescue you.
And also, nothing would please us more than to open the door and get barraged by whatever is inside there.
Yes.
Okay? That means that you guys listened and you were trained. That's what we expect.
Yeah. So real quick,
you're going to know it's the police after a few seconds, you know.
Yeah. Shelter bucket, real quick. We had an incident at Williamsport Elementary a few years ago where someone called in and said, I'm in your school with an automatic weapon. Click. So we got to drive really fast, right? We were actually the first two on scene. He was at the sheriff's department. I was up on 40 past the landfill. And we showed up. It took us 3.5 minutes, I believe. First thing we did, we got out, we grabbed our rifles out of our car, and in the school we went and cleared it. But there's a whole lot of procedures we have to do. And cops showed up from everywhere, from
Tri-state area.
Yeah, everywhere. Cops we didn't even know, guys like Border Patrol that we didn't even know was in our area. They're showing up, throwing their vest on, coming in, right? So, but then we have procedures we have to follow in order to clear schools. We're going to establish a secure zone. We're going to go in classroom by classroom, come in and get you, take you to that secure area, set up reunification sites, all these things. You've probably heard stuff like that on the news, but it takes a long time. Those kids and teachers were locked down for over 3 hours. Okay, some of them. So having some supplies to make that time go by a little easier, especially if you're locked down in a class that doesn't have a bathroom. I think everyone's probably read this list, but if you can't see it, some things that could be handy is a glass breaker, door stop, another barricading option, right? Put a door stop in. Rope, maybe a snack, watch out for allergies. Duct tape, why duct tape?
Multi-purpose tool. You can build a boat out of it.
I mean, you could
completely
duct tape those
irrelevant.
hinges. You could duct tape the bad guy. Being serious, right?
The hinges on the doors, wrap some duct tape around there.
For the children's church, people having a class roster might be a handy thing. First aid kit, I did see one back in your hall. That's a good thing. Water, put it all in a bucket, and put some toilet paper in it. You know why, right? All right. So might be handy to have some things to make your stay a little bit more comfortable if you are locked down for an extremely long time. You love this,
Yes.
this section.
All right, the next section is fight. Determine what you have as a weapon of opportunity. That's kind of what I've already alluded to. If it's not bolted down, nailed down, screwed down, and you can lift it, it is a weapon. You need to use it. What I am not saying is seek the intruder out or said bad guy wackadoodle. Do not seek them out with a chair. That's not what I'm getting at. If it is...
That's our job.
If you've encountered bad guy walking around the corner, it's on.
If you're locked down, you need to be arming yourself and everyone in that room with something that is a weapon of opportunity. And you're telling everyone in that room, bad guy makes his way in here past our barricade, we're all going to inundate the attacker with violence.
Now what we mean there is understand if we usually have a prop here like a water bottle or something and I'll throw it at Jason. That is not what we're saying is inundating the attacker with violence. What we're saying is I'm grabbing the water bottle, I'm grabbing everything, the speaker, the microphone, and I am still making my way to the bad guy. Because when I run out of items to throw, it's on. It's hands on.
He's coming at me and he wants to kill me. I throw this little clicker at him. I'm probably not going to hurt his feelings and he's going to walk away and leave. Okay, commit to your actions. You have to do it. I mean, if someone walked in here right now and started trying to hurt everybody, if you get down and just huddle down, it's going to make a real easy target for them. You have to do something. You have to fight back. That's the only way that you're going to survive. A hidden knife?
Yeah, like a knife that's just laying on the ground. Like,
Do we have a lot of them around here? Anything you have. I'll tell you a quick little funny story. Sure. Funny little story. We were teaching this at the Humane Society. I love telling this story. We were talking about weapons of opportunity, anything that's not nailed down. Now, we always give the disclaimer to like elementary school teachers and stuff. Don't like go chucking little kids. They're not weapons of opportunity. But, however, the Humane Society, as serious as a heart attack, they were like, well, we're going to throw feral cats at them. Not kidding you. And I kind of gave them that look like.
They didn't crack a smile or bat an eye.
They're like, they looked at me and they're like, have you ever had a feral cat thrown at you? And I'm like, no, I don't want to either. Leave me out of this. But whatever you have is weapons of opportunity. Why does this work? Why does this work? The OODA loop, not some crazy thing I come up with, okay? Colonel John Boyd, United States Air Force, come up with this. He was a military strategist. He taught fighter pilots how to engage in combat. The OODA loop is simply a decision-making process, okay? Anything that you're doing in life, you guys are doing it right now, we're doing it, you're going through this constantly. Every decision you make, observe, orient, decide, and act. If I want to pick this up, I have to first observe it, orient myself to it, decide I'm going to pick it up, and act on that decision. No different than if I'm a bad guy trying to get into your room. I'm going through this process. You're going through the process as well. What you need to do is make your decision-making process, your OODA loop, go a little quicker than his. You want to interrupt his OODA loop, okay? How do we do that? We do that by throwing things. We do that by attacking, all these things. Now, does it work? Yes. I've had my OODA loop interrupted big time one time, all right? I was in a training, and I was in there with, I don't know, 20 or so civilians, and it was an active shooter training. So the first scenario was that we all had to go huddle in a corner, and bad guy was going to come in. Now, we were using airsoft guns. Everyone familiar with those? They shoot little plastic BBs. They sting, they hurt, but they're not going to hurt you. But you know that you're shot with it, okay?
You cried about the mark on your arm for months afterwards.
He shot me point blank in the elbow, and it drew blood. I was huddled in the corner with my class because that's what we were told to do. That's what people have been told to do forever, right? Get in the corner. Well, he comes up with his airsoft gun and starts shooting everybody to make a point. Well, he made his point. Well, next scenario, they get me, they pick on me. They're like, all right, we're going to use big bad cop here. He has a gun, he knows how to shoot. We're going to give him the gun. He's going to be the bad guy. So I go out, my objective is to make entry into this room and shoot as many people as I can. Unbeknownst to me, this instructor had armed everyone in the classroom with boxes, books, balls, you name it. And as soon as I made entry, they all just started throwing stuff at me. And I'm like, what the heck is going on here? I'm like backing up. I think I shot one time, hit someone in the leg. But if it can mess up my OODA loop, think of what it's going to do to a bad guy. But you have to commit to your actions. If you're going to do this, do it. All right?
Think about a Campbell's food drive.
Hey.
We talk about that in schools. It's great to have those Campbell food drives. You know, at the end of the year, if you haven't used them for a really bad thing, then you give them to a needy family. But to have a bag of Campbell's food in your classroom that you could chuck at someone, that could hurt probably a little worse than your little pellet
probably
gun.
a little bit. But it's what you got to do. Now, this was John Boyd's actual OODA loop. Us being from Hancock, we like the simple little circle. All right.
More understandable.
Yeah. So.
All right, this right here, securing your weapon. What we're getting at here in Washington County, the state, our level, the city, we're all trained to look for this, okay? This is not someone puking in a trash can. What this is she has found the weapon. She's going to put the weapon in the trash can or a tote or a box, whatever you have handy. Hug it, squeeze it, call it George, okay? What we're trying to prevent is, let's just say that issue happened here. 15 of you are on top of the bad guy, okay? Subduing said bad guy. While this young lady grabs, it is a pistol at this point, okay? Grabs the pistol and runs out. Jason just drove 127 miles an hour to get here.
My car won't go that fast.
It won't.
Not anymore. So
mine does. Eyes this big, and all he has is very limited information. There's an individual with a weapon, with a gun, wreaking havoc here. That's all he has. So his objective is to take out the bad guy. This young lady runs straight out through the glass doors, met by Jason.
I just got out of my car, grabbed 90 rounds of 5.56 ammo in my rifle, and I'm coming in to get bad guy, right? Bad things are going to happen. So we don't want to have friendly fire. We don't want to hurt anyone that's a victim. If you do get bad guy subdued and you want to get the weapon away from him, and if you feel so inclined, put it in something. Don't just grab it and go, okay? So just keep that in mind. We don't want anyone to get hurt. And we are all trained to look for this. Even they teach this at the academy. Mm-hmm. You know, they teach if you're responding to an incident and you see someone holding a trash can, good idea, that's probably where the weapon is, okay? Escape. If you have information that indicates it's possible, this may be a really good option. And don't just escape to the parking lot out here. Where would be a good place to escape to?
Morgantown.
Far away from here, okay? If your idea is to escape and you're getting people out and you're running, you tell them to run. Run to Sheets, run to the prime outlets, run gone to the woods. I've told my kids in school, you know, I have elementary age kids, I say, you hear gunshots in the school, be gone, okay? Get out a door. You know, if you're near a door, get out. You know, I've given this same thing to my kids. I said, look, Daddy's gonna come find you. I'll go get a helicopter. I'll get the state police helicopter and I'll come out and find you. But get out of the school and be gone, okay? Don't just go to the parking lot. Again, we're gonna set up reunification sites. We're gonna get families back together, but it's okay if some people are up here, some people are down there, as long as you're not here, okay? You know, leave your belongings behind. Encourage others to leave with you. If your plan is to escape, if you're near a door, not everyone's going to want to go. You're going to have people froze up, right? You can't carry everybody out. Get as many people as you can. And again, we're gonna do the whole reunification thing, get people back together with their people. So be where the danger isn't, okay? That's kind of the main objective. If you're going to escape, be gone.
Jason, I have a question.
Yeah.
What if there's someone inside that wants to kill me and I want to go outside?
So what you're saying is there could be someone outside as well?
What's the odds of that?
Well, I have the answer, surprisingly. Less than 2% of all active killer incidents since the beginning of time have had more than one person. 98% of the time, it's one person. We all hear the big ones. We've heard of Columbine, 2 people. We've heard of Jonesboro, Arkansas. Does everyone remember that in 1998? Okay. What they did in that scenario was one person laid in wait in a wood line outside of the school with a long arm, and his counterpart went in the school and pulled the fire alarm. They didn't know if it was drill, real, fake, whatever. They just all went outside. Shots started firing, people started dropping, and you know, it was horrible. But that's less than 2%. You're gonna, you know, most of the time it's gonna be one person. So I say take your chances going outside if you can get out. Because you know there's someone in here that wants to kill you, get out.
Those that laid down at Jonesboro, Arkansas outside to pretend and play dead were shot as well. So we do not advocate laying down and playing dead either. Okay?
These creeps, we have seen a pattern of them shooting people that are already down and they think are dead. Going right back to Virginia Tech shooting, finishing that story up, creep went back into Christina Anderson's room and shot everyone again, just to make sure they were dead. Okay, so don't lay down and play dead. Do something. If you're outside, run in a zigzag. Do we have hunters in here? Any hunters? No hunters? One hunter? Okay. Well.
Interesting fact about wackadoodle that Jason's talking about at Virginia Tech. 6 months prior to that incident, he was seen at a firing range, okay, with targets set up on the ground, walking up and down, shooting targets. 6 months prior to him doing that, okay? See something, say something. What's the harm?
Right. If you're caught in that situation, run in a zigzag, okay? It's real easy to teach kids to do. You can do it. You can make it a fun drill. You know, our schools do it. You know, zigzag, run, don't run straight line. It's hard to shoot a moving target. It really is. We have to do it at the range. It's not easy. Have you shot moving targets? Are they hard to shoot? Very hard. And especially if someone's zigzagging, okay? So another thing you may be thinking, and this is kind of going outside our presentation a little bit, but a reverse evacuation. If you are alerted, okay, there's a fire alarm in the church and everyone goes outside, okay, and you start hearing shots go off, you may think a reverse evacuation is a really good thing to do. Get everyone back in the church, right? Not a bad idea, but
what is called a fatal funnel. You have 50 people trying to get in one 3-foot opening, and it causes this funnel.
Real easy target for a bad guy to just point his gun at and start cracking rounds off, okay? So if you're close to a door, might be real easy to get in, but if not, skedaddle, run, okay? Zigzag. So we're kind of going in a little over our presentation here. This is scenarios we give to our schools, you know, to make our educators think about these things. So, but that's about it. To recap, you know, use that real-time information if you're getting it. Understand the need to reassess your options, okay? If you're in that lockdown and you're getting information, might be a good idea to roll out. Remember the OODA loop interruption? And I like to leave people with this. I'll read it to you because you might not be able to see it in the back, but in any moment of decision, the best thing you can do is the right thing. The next best thing you can do is the wrong thing. And the worst thing you can do is nothing. Okay? That's pretty powerful. So what we want you to do is something. Don't just do nothing. Okay? Now, before we close, questions. We'll field any questions that you guys have.
Suppose
Go ahead.
you're trapped
sermon being given, and somebody comes in from the back. Some of our protectors don't see them. Can you hear me better now? I'm talking about a trap situation. If our attention is on the pastor, he's giving a sermon, we don't know it, but a guy's sneaking in from the back. Our attention is all towards the front. He somehow gets in from the back and there's no escape. Are we to just lay there and be mowed down, or are we to fall to the ground, or are we to turn around and attack him, or what should we do? That's my question.
If you're faced with that danger and you are trapped, as your scenario is, you're fighting. You're
That's
fighting
it.
for your life.
That's the only thing you can do. Like we said at the beginning, we're not going to tell you in this presentation to lay down, play dead, get under a chair. You know, if you're faced with that, I mean, this is worst case scenario here. Big open areas, sanctuaries, gyms, auditoriums, theaters, they're worst case scenarios because you got a lot of people, you got limited exits, and it's real easy to just start, you know, mowing people down. In that situation, about your only option is to go fight the guy. Or if you're close to an exit, get out. That's really your only option. Go ahead.
Sport person, if you're good at sports, like throwing a ball, throw a hammer at them, one of these hard handles. If you can, pitch that at them.
Absolutely. Hymnals, great weapon of opportunity, right? It works. Any other questions? Okay. Oh, we have one in the back. Okay.
Thank you. Actually, mine is not a question. I just want to do a testimony here on behalf of the police department. Here in the office, I had on the phone buttons with numbers, and I had a 911. One day, I accidentally hit the 911, not realizing it. Within a matter of seconds, the police had called me and asked, is everything okay? So I just want to do a testimony there on behalf of our police department.
And if we don't get an answer right away, we're going to send units out to make sure in person to check that everything's okay.
Would you recommend people carrying things like pepper spray or in their purses, women in their purses and such?
As long as
Is there
you're over,
something?
as long as you're over 18, it's not illegal to possess pepper spray.
Okay.
Anything else? Okay.
Over here.
Well, sometimes, or what I've heard before too, is like a secretary to keep a can of wasp spray or something like that, that they could just pick up or just shoot, because it'll spray out quite a ways and spray them toward their face.
Absolutely. Wasp spray, hornet spray, bear spray. Absolutely. Ball bat, nail gun. Apparently airsoft gun hurts too.
It does hurt. You shoot you in the elbow with an airsoft gun. But yeah, wasp spray, now we can't advocate that in schools. A lot of teachers want that, but schools are very strict with what they let you have inside, and then you have to do the MSDS, material safety data sheets, and even our custodians aren't allowed to have bee spray in school, which is crazy as that sounds. So that's why we got to think outside the box and look at every weapon of opportunity we have. But anything else? Go ahead.
Any kind of deterrent, like stickers on windows, you know?
I have, I've seen the signs in front of churches that say our members of our congregation are armed, stuff like that. I don't know. I mean, if you have law enforcement in here that can carry, that would be, at my church, my pastor come up to me years ago when I first started going there. He knew I was a police officer, and I'm on their security team, but he asked, will you carry every Sunday? And I'm like, yep. So, and I'm the bass player in my church, so I'm up there. No one knows the bass player is a cop. So I don't advertise it, you know. I don't want everyone really doesn't need to know, you know. But
They know now because we
they
gave
know
the
now
presentation
because we
there.
just gave this presentation. So. But what do you got? What do you do? You know? So, yeah, I mean, you know, it's something to think about. You know, if you have any law enforcement, the Robinwood Seventh-day Adventist Church that we taught at, they have a few law enforcement in their congregation, and they ask them to carry while they're at church. So, you know, something to think about.
So you have to be law enforcement, is that correct?
Well,
Or carry a permit.
yeah, or if you have a concealed carry permit.
In Maryland?
Right, Maryland's pretty strict. So, go ahead.
Uh-oh.
Nerf guns, they're out. Don't think that'll work. Do you have a question? Uh-huh. It might work. That might work.
Think of your close proximity if you're spraying perfume.
Right,
I don't
perfume.
have any perfume
I'd
that
have
sprays
to be
20
like
feet.
right here. It could work, yeah. I wouldn't want to be sprayed in the eyes with perfume. Any others? Any other thoughts, concerns, anything? You want to practice human chain again, right? Go ahead. Weapon of opportunity, right?
Or would you shatter the glass first?
Whatever you feel like. I mean, I think you're talking about like in the movies, they like crack the bottle, you know, but weapon of opportunity. Huh? That's good.
This might be a weird question, but like if you're in the children's department, where's your, I mean, your children are first priority, and let's say you're locking the door and all of a sudden church members are knocking saying, let me in. I mean, how do you know what to do in that case?
That's got to be a conscious decision on your part.
Yeah.
You don't know one way or the other whether bad guys on the other side of that door forcing them to say that. It's got to be your call.
That's gonna be a tough call. We get teachers all the time that they ask, you know, if we're locked down and, you know, Sally comes running up to the door and is banging on the door, let me in, let me in, let me in. Do you open the door and let her in, or do you not? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm the bad guy. I could have grabbed Sally and been like, knock on the door, teacher, you know, knock on the door. You know, it's a tough call. Man, I don't have a good answer for that. That's another worst case scenario, you know. I'll tell you that one of the scenarios that I did at a school, an active shooter drill, where I was playing the bad guy, a group of teachers were locked down in the teacher's lounge, and they had a window covering on the lounge window, and as I was going through, they peeked out the window. I would have never known they were in there otherwise, you know, so I just shot through the door with my blank gun and simulated shooting them all, you know. But, I mean, if you know she's out, I mean, it's a call you're going to have to make. I can't tell you what the best answer is for that. So he's looking over top of you? Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I mean, you know, think about how your room's set up so that, you know, you put yourself in the best position available. Absolutely. And window coverings are a real good idea, so you can close them blinds so they can't see in to begin with.
And you were saying that you're the bad guy and you had Sally pushed ahead of you. What could Sally do to you
She needs to be fighting at that point. That's the only thing that she can do.
So if they put her elbow and jab you in the gut or put her hair back or something?
What's the number one rule in a fight? There are no rules, right? If I'm in a fight, I'm going to fight to survive, whatever it takes, because I want to go home. So if I'm in a fight, there's no rules. So whatever Sally has to do is what she has to do. All right, one more question.
On the subject of window coverings, if I were, say, the bad guy, and someone had put a window covering up, wouldn't that kind of be a telltale sign that someone is in there?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. You got to remember that these bad guys have the access to the same statistics we do. They know that they're on a short time frame. And they know that they got to go in and get as many people as they can as possible in a short amount of time as possible. So unless it's a specific target, okay, unless it's, you know, someone's ex or something like that that wants to cause them harm and they know that they're in this room and they're going to try to gain entry, typically what we've seen is they're going through and they're hitting on doors. If they're locked and they can't see anyone inside, if lights are off, blinds are drawn, everyone's quiet, they're going to move on, is what we've typically seen.
Easiest access.
Right. Right.
All right. Again, I know this was a little extra long service today, but let's thank Jason and Troy, please, for their time.
Thank you.
A lot of food for thought, isn't it? And a lot of work that we have to do here to secure our safety. Let's have prayer here with our group, and we'll dismiss you here. So let's pray. Heavenly Father, again, we thank you for this Sabbath day. We thank you for this opportunity to worship together. Father, we thank you for these officers that have taken their time today to instruct us in ways that we could defend ourselves and prepare ourselves. We pray, Father, that we'd never need to use this training and these skills. But Father, if it does come due, we ask for your divine intervention to bring these thoughts back to mind so that we can protect ourselves and survive. Thank you again, Father, for this day, and thank you for this group. We just ask for your blessings upon the week as we dismiss, that you'd be with each one and guide and direct. It's my prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you again, guys. Appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely.
Now get on with your Saturdays, huh?